Good morning, Columbia County. Welcome to the new Wednesday version of Columbia County Connect. Got a lot to talk about today. We got the honcho here with us, County Administrator Scott Johnson. Before we get into our discussion, I want to recognize a couple of people. Last night at the commission meeting, we honored our Employees of the Year and our Team of the Year. Congratulations to Brittany Lloyd, Human Resources, for being the Employee of the Year, and Shift 3 of Engine Company number 6 of Fire Rescue for being Team of the Year. Great honor to be picked out of the 12-month winners as Employees and Team of the Month to be the Employee and Team of the Year. Quick announcements, the Grovetown Tax Office is now open. I think the official ribbon cut will take place this Friday, but they are open for business to make it more convenient for those people in that part of the county. A little addition to the area behind the library where the lake is. Our good staff of Deputy Administrator Glenn Kennedy and John Paul Stout and his people have redone the fountains, added some lights. I believe we have a picture there of what it looks like at night. If you haven't visited that area behind the library, we invite you to do so. Utilize the walking track, bring your children to the playground. Just a nice area there that's a little more contained, a little quieter than Evanstown Center Park. Appreciate your support of all of those facilities. Mr. Scott Johnson, County Administrator, the big cheese, the honcho.
I think that's the other way around, Mr. Chairman.
The buck rests here. Tell me about what you did before.
Well, prior to coming to Columbia County, I spent an entire career in law enforcement. Started my career with the Columbia County Sheriff's Office. I'm a hometown guy.
I believe you were in the same class or something with our sheriff.
I was. I went through some SWAT training with our sheriff in the old days, and we worked together very well, very closely, and still do today.
Man, I saw those pictures, y'all. You know, we're kind of bad looking.
We were buff back in the day. He's still buff. I lost mine a little bit, but it.
I think you'd disagree with that.
Yeah, we had a great career in law enforcement, and from my time with Columbia County, I transitioned into a career with the State Patrol and spent many years with the State Patrol. Was able to move my way up through the ranks there, and was able to get to a position where I could take an early retirement with the State Patrol. When an opportunity with Columbia County came available again, had the opportunity to come back in as the assistant to the administrator for Steve Sobleski, our longtime county administrator, and made that transition from law enforcement back into county government, but in a little bit different role. And when Steve retired in 2011, I was given the opportunity to serve as the second county administrator in Columbia County.
Now, this highway patrol stuff, you roamed up and down the road and you wrote a bunch of tickets, I guess.
I did.
Did you ever hear any lame excuses for speeding?
I've heard every lame excuse. I tell you that over 20 years in law enforcement, you get to hear all the good stuff. But, I guess everybody feels like their excuse is a good one when they're giving it.
I always thought mine did.
I always thought it was a good one when you're giving it. But the thing about that is everybody doesn't deserve a ticket, and State Patrol does a lot more than just writing tickets and running up and down the road. They're really a organization that provides a lot of support for local governments and a lot of support for other police departments and sheriff's departments around the state. And I got an opportunity to get off of the road part of that and really participate in more of that multifunctional later in my career.
And you did a lot of training and stuff like that.
Did a lot of training. When I retired, I was the deputy director of training, so I was doing that full time around the state. I had the chance to visit all 159 counties in the state of Georgia, and really gave me a good opportunity to see Georgia, see what it was like, make a lot of good contacts around the state, and I still enjoy those contacts today.
Well, I would think what you did was pretty good background and experience for what you faced at Columbia County.
It is. It really is. People ask me all the time, how do you make a transition from law enforcement to county administration? Well, the funny answer is, in the State Patrol, we run a lot, we work out a lot, so it gives you broad shoulders and thick skin is what I always say. In county government, you need broad shoulders to carry that load. You need thick skin for everything you're going to take. from the public and from sometimes from elected officials and from the staff. But in reality, I think what it does is it gives you the opportunity to make decisions quickly, think on your feet, try to make good decisions, and ultimately, at the end of the day, just always doing the right thing, no matter what.
But you worked with people. You had people above you.
Yeah.
You had people below you.
Yes,
You had the general public you had to deal with.
that's right. And the same
Pretty much what you got
thing
together.
here. That's exactly right.
People think that the county commission composed of 4 district commissioners and, of course, my position as chair, run the county. In essence, that's not really true, is it?
Well, yeah, the way the code is written in Columbia County and the way it's set up is that we have a county commission, and the county commission appoints a county administrator that is then responsible for the day-to-day responsibilities of the staff and the day-to-day goings on in the county. I attribute it a lot of times like a corporation. The corporation has a board of directors and a chairman of the board of directors, which in this scenario, that's what you would be, the chairman of the board, which really dictates the vision for the corporation or the vision for the county and the way you want us to go. And then that board gets together and hires a CEO that they then hold responsible for carrying out that vision and the policies and the ideas and the ideology that board has. And that's what we have in Columbia County. I report to the Board of Commissioners. You guys set the tone and you approve everything we do. But you task me with the day-to-day operations of the county and the staff and making sure everything gets done the way that the board wants it done.
You just initiated a new organizational structure. We did have problems in the past with you having too many direct reports, spending a lot of time in smaller problems as opposed to planning and overall pictures. Tell us a little bit about how that setup is now and how it will be when the new positions are put in place.
Yeah, Columbia County has grown, and for everybody that's out there watching, if you drive on our roads and you get in the traffic, you realize how much we've grown over the years. And I was saying before, I can remember my time here in the 80s working as a deputy and how the traffic was and how the growth was in Columbia County, or even before that as a little boy growing up and being here in Columbia County. It's a lot different now. And even the amount of personnel we have, with that growth, you have to have growth in your government. And I think the county's done a really good job of trying to manage that growth and to try to not be too overburdened or too heavy with personnel. We benchmark ourselves against other counties of similar size and similar demographics all the time. And what we find is really we have, in a lot of cases, we have less staff than some of our similar counties. And that goes back to the Board of Commissioners setting a tone and trying to be a conservative government and not trying to have any waste in government. We do a good job of that. But that being said, you have to have the amount of personnel that it takes to get the job done. And what we found recently was I had all the division directors reporting directly to me. And then I had
9 of those, 8 of those?
8 division directors. And then I also had human resources reporting directly to me, the county clerk, our PR manager, my executive assistant, our deputy administrator. So ultimately I had 14 really direct reports and really 15 if you kind of look at the entire chart. I was responsible for 15 people on a daily basis, or having to deal with direct issues from 15 people.
Not counting 5 commissioners?
Not counting the 5 commissioners that I work with or the other elected officials that I'm tasked to work with on a regular basis. And then any other civic obligations that I may have or anything that I may have outside the office. It just became a little overwhelming. And as we looked at it, we found that some of the division directors, their departments had grown. And, you know, I think one thing that's interesting to point out here is through the recession, 2008, 9, 10, some of the lean years, you know, Columbia County was one of the only counties in the state of Georgia that was actually doing tax reductions when other people were having to raise taxes to make ends meet. We were able to do that. We were able to reduce taxes. We knew that everybody was tightening their belt, and we did too. But what we had to do is we had to do more with less. So we, as the county continued to grow, we just had to kind of work with the amount of people we had, and some of our division directors got more departments, and we consolidated to do the best we could. But now we realize that there's probably a little too much. So with that, we've done this new reorganization, And in the reorganization, we've added a deputy administrator's position. And by adding that one position and then rearranging some things, we've ensured that now nobody in the organization, and I mean all the way from the county administration office all the way down to each department, nobody has more than 5 direct reports. And really, when you think about span of control, and you know, as we learned that in our public administration classes and some of the things that we've had to go through to get to this point, you realize that's really optimal. 5 is really no more than 7, no less than 3. So about 5 is what you need. So again, Columbia County, I think, is on the cutting edge of efficiency by adding one position of a deputy administrator and then rearranging some departments and some divisions where each deputy administrator now will be responsible for 4 divisions in a department to give them their 5, and I'll be responsible for the 2 deputy administrators. And I feel like that's going to give me a lot of time to focus really more on the planning issues that we need to face in Columbia County instead of day to day.
We talk a lot about, you get so tied up in the day-to-day activities and putting out fires that you don't really have the time to plan and look at long range and do the things that'll benefit the county for 15, 20 years down the road.
And those
so
are
this should benefit that a lot.
Very much so, and I think we've done a good job of that. You know, we've done a good job of wearing multiple hats and doing. I think the commission's done an outstanding job of being visionary. You know, a great example of that is the Washington Road project that's going on right now, and that was a project that the county commission came up with probably in the mid 2000s. It was a project that DOT, it's a state road that DOT was going to study in 2020, not even fund in 2020. We're going to study in 2020 and maybe fund in 2025 or 2030. And for all of us that are driving on Washington Road on a daily basis, you know, it can't get done fast enough. But those are the kind of projects that we really need to be looking forward to say, okay, where do we need to be in 10 years? Where do we need to be in 15 or 20 years? And we need to spend a lot more time on that. And this will give us an opportunity to do that, hopefully.
Along that line, what do you see as a person that's involved in the details on a day-to-day basis, the biggest challenges of the county?
I get that question a lot. I'll tell you, people say, well, you know, what is our biggest problem? Well, certainly growth is always an issue.
And I'm not talking about the problem, I'm talking about the challenges.
Yeah, that's exactly. You know, I think that dealing with all that we have in Columbia County is a big challenge. We have, it's amazing in my office where I can go from having someone that's very upset because their dog's in the animal shelter and they don't have the money to get the person out on line 1, to somebody from the governor's office on line 2, to a big economic development project on line 3. It just runs the gamut. And the challenges are dealing with all those things and changing gears so many times in a particular day. And then making sure that we follow through with every one of those things to make sure that we're doing the job the very best we can.
I think a lot of people would say, if you ask them that question, it is how to handle the traffic. Tell us what we have available to work with and what the people will be seeing in the coming months and years as far as traffic.
You know, traffic is a big thing in Columbia County, and we sit in it. I will say this, as a state trooper that traveled all over the state, our traffic pales in comparison to some of the suburbs of Atlanta. I've been in some of that traffic for a long time, and we're a little upset in the morning if it takes us 15 minutes to get from where we want to go to where we need to be, or where we are, where we need to be. That again, in Atlanta, sometimes that can be a 2 or 3 hour wait. But that being said, I understand that the traffic is an issue here. It's the problem with a growing community, or challenge with a growing community. We're going to spend $220 million in the next 7 years on traffic alone. This is money that's been allocated. It's already there. It's already ready to go. We're already doing engineering. We're doing the projects now. We did a rebranding here recently, and in the rebranding, we were trying to figure out a way internally to memorialize what our staff was all about. We were trying to come up with a motto, and we ended up coming up with something very close to what we have. But as I was looking for things that you know, what could symbolize Columbia County the best, right now it's our sailboat, and that's been our logo for a long time. But I got to think about it. I think, you know, maybe the orange cone would be better, because I think people could really take that orange cone and really say that's really what Columbia County is all about.
They might take it and do something else.
That's exactly right. But we have so many of them, and it's it's because we have so many projects going on right now, and that's because of some of the planning that took place, 5, 7, 10 years ago that got us where we are today. But for people to say, we got a problem with traffic, what are y'all doing about it? I can assure you we're spending a ton of money. Very fortunate to have the T-SPLOST or the TIA money, so it's not on the backs of the Columbia County taxpayers specifically. It's the sales tax revenues that are coming in. We've used SPLOST revenues in the past. Very glad to say that we're able to get all this done without raising anybody's taxes, which is very important for us.
And they'll see that. The Washington Road is underway, extension of Riverwatch Parkway is underway. Coming up will be widening of Furious Ferry, Lewiston Road, both sections,
Flowing Wells.
Flowing Wells Road, expanded bridge work at 221 at Harlem Appling,
That's right.
plus the individual county projects that's done out of the discretionary money from TIA. And then the LMIG money, the local maintenance improvement grants, that I think we got to check last week for this year.
We did.
And we'll probably get a double check next year because of the excise tax increase.
We will. So lots of funding available. Engineering's going on. We're doing property acquisition to get those projects done. Nobody's sitting on their hands when it comes to transportation. We're getting it done as quick as we possibly can.
Remind everyone that if you have a question, we probably can't get to it today, but of course, Mr. Johnson is here every day. If we get some questions in, we'll have him back next week to answer those or take up anything that you're interested in. Now, what do you think would be new people? I imagine, or do you think, does everybody know about the new Kroger development?
Well, if you've been out in the Lewiston Road area, you know about it. It's going up really fast, and that's going to be a great development. That is really going to complement that area. Really, the whole area around the gateway, the Lewiston Road and I-20, where some of our worst congestion is, that's because about 85% of our permits are being pulled in that area. That's the westward expansion of Columbia County. And for those longtime Columbia County residents, you remember this because you remember back in the old days, I guess when people moved to the Stevens Creek Road.
I don't remember any old days.
Westlake area. I remember, we've talked about it before, when you moved to Columbia County, people thought you were crazy for moving out so far.
Way out there.
On Stevens Creek Road. And now it's just moving out. But I think that whole gateway area is about to explode. It's going to give the residents there an opportunity to be able to shop in that area. And people think, well, it's really going to congest the area more. I think it may help it a good bit, because what you have now is you have a lot of people that live in that area that are having to travel back to the Evans area for a lot of services or restaurants. So once we can kind of get those in that particular area, I think you'll see people shopping closer to home, going out to eat closer to home, doing all their business a lot closer to home, and not really tying up the traffic in other parts of the county.
Well, we haven't seen anything like this Super Kroger. It's something like 140,000 square feet.
Over 140,000 square feet. So you think about that and you compare it to really a Walmart. I mean, it's supposed to have a much expanded selection of beers and wines and cheeses and deli, and I believe you're going to
dry goods.
Be able to buy clothes there. Whoever thought you could buy clothes at Kroger, or pots and pan sets or luggage or some of those things.
Just as a comparison, a grocery store that we see would be anywhere now probably from 40,000 square feet to 75,000 square feet.
That's right.
And this is 140,000.
Over 140,000 square feet. So double or triple a really good sized grocery store that we see today.
And on across the road, of course, you're going to have a new hotel, maybe two,
Right.
for too long.
Right.
Some name brand things coming. Another Starbucks. Whose deli is that?
McAllister's Deli. Chick-fil-A is looking in that area.
A new McDonald's back on the other side, on the north side of the road.
So really a lot of opportunity.
One or more banks
Yep.
of brands coming in.
That's right. Yep.
And who knows what with the land that's left out there to develop.
That's right.
Well, what else we need to talk? Tell me what's your latest information, and I know it's not in great detail, about the Marshall Square fire?
We continue to follow that. There's been a lot of speculation about whose fault and responsibility that is. We're still waiting on the ultimate fire report to see exactly what the investigation found there. It was a tragedy, but I'll say this, Columbia County, we did hundreds and hundreds of inspections of that building. And we can only do the inspections or issue the permits for the intended use that the person gives us or the people give us to do. So certainly we did that. We've been in contact early on with the people at Marshall Square at Resort Lifestyle Communities. I hadn't really had a conversation with them lately. They, I understand, are dealing with their own issues now and really don't want to discuss it too much out. I know there's some lawsuits that have been filed. The county has not been named in any lawsuits so far. I hope that we're not. I don't feel like we have any liability there. I think our fire department did an outstanding job on the scene. I know I was there that morning. You were there that morning of that fire and did a good job of putting it out. There's been a lot of Monday morning quarterbacking and second guessing about how we did that. But, just for people that don't really understand the process, it's amazing. We had 6 engine companies, 2 ladder trucks, over 100 firefighters there, and we were working so close with our other county departments that we actually had our water utility department divert water going one particular way to give us more volume there at the fire, which we could do. Nobody really realized it. You didn't realize you didn't have any less pressure. But those are some of the things that we can do in a progressive county to be able to deal with a situation like that. And then when you deal with when our EMA folks came out, and I'll tell you, even our the rest of our staff, I was really proud of our staff that day. The people that just volunteered to help all those residents and brought them blankets and cookies, and I saw our employees get money out of their own pockets to go to Walmart to buy slippers and stuff like that, and it's just
some needed medicines too.
Needed medicines, taking people to the pharmacy. So I was really proud of our Columbia County employees that day for stepping up all the way from the fire department all the way around.
And
really
thanks
did
to
an
the
outstanding
school
job.
board for the buses to transport the people.
That's exactly right. It was just really a collaborative effort, and that's really a good way to describe Columbia County, is that collaborative effort. We work together really well between departments. We've come up with a new organizational chart. In addition to the adding of the deputy administrator, we've gone away from the flat bureaucratic chart that you're very used to. I know you're familiar with this. And we've gone to more of a circular chart. It's very innovative. It's different. People look at it and they say it looks like a solar system or a smiley face. I've heard everything about that. But I can tell you what it does. It encourages our people to work together. It's an organizational chart that has no end. It continues to operate in a circle. It encourages our people to work together within their sphere of operations.
Must be the infinity chart.
The infinity chart. That's a good name for it. Maybe we can trademark that and put it on there. But it's just a great example, or it shows graphically how our people are working together anyway. And again, we're always trying to be on the cutting edge to see what we can do to make things better.
Probably what the public doesn't realize about the Marshall fire situation was that there probably would have been no loss of life and injuries had the fire been reported earlier. But the fact that the fire department had to spend the first hour they were there evacuating the residents instead of putting the full effort against fighting the fire.
Yeah, when you have to go in search and rescue mode, especially in a building that large, it really sets you back as far as being able to do an attack on the fire itself.
Anything you'd like to add before we close this one up today?
Well, I would just say to everybody that Columbia County is here for you. This is an open government. I hear so many times people say, you don't get enough information out. Well, this is just another great example of how we do that. Everything we do, we publish. All of our commission meetings are published online. Our minutes are published online. We deal with hundreds of open records requests on a pretty regular basis, whether it be a month or whatever. We're always having them. We deal with them. But I would just say to anybody that if you have a question about your county government, you have a question about what's going in next door, if you have an issue about something in one of our departments, just give us a call. I'm always here. I'm always available. I publish my numbers. I'm very easy to get. I have an outstanding assistant that does a good job of making sure that all my appointments are scheduled, and I'm where I'm supposed to be. It does a good job of working with the commission. So just for anybody out there, if you have any issues with Columbia County, let us know, because we can't deal with it if we don't know about it.
And if any of you are wondering who looks after Scott other than the commission, it goes back to what we've talked about earlier in having internal auditors and the year-end auditors. These people are not favorable to the county. They're third-party independents, professionals, certified public accountants that follow everything that goes on in Columbia County on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis, and an annual basis. That makes everything match as to what goes on with all county staff throughout the year. So there is oversight that's available to the public anytime they'd like to look at any of that. Have we shown the place to send questions and comment or whatever? It's up on the screen now. We're going to close this one out for today. Thank you for being here. Hope you have a great rest of the week.